the games. Next, CBS Sports presents the World Series Game 1.
Sherlock Holmes would have loved baseball, the source of countless mysteries. Nonsense, you say. The game is unassuming, almost innocent, played out in the open for all to see. In baseball's essence, you're either safe or out, and you try to score more runs than the other team before your outs are used up. And yet the mystery is there. We are never really privy to what's going on in the dugouts and discussions on the pitcher's mound and in the minds of the players themselves. But the most important and delightful mystery is that we love the game so that the words baseball and America are often paired. Young and old, player and fan, major leaguer and T-baller, the game is us. Baseball and America are a perfect match.
And pinch yourself, folks. Look who's in the World Series. 1 year ago, they were dead last. Now they're taking dead aim at the title. And if you think the Twins enjoyed a reversal of fortune, how about these Braves? Last year they were the doormats of the National League. Now nobody dares tread on them. Anybody have the right to celebrate more than these two teams who have rewritten baseball history? Well, maybe we do. That's because now we get to watch them play each other for the right to be called world champions. Welcome to Minneapolis. Call it the sports capital of the world if you want, and why not? The Twin Cities have already hosted the Stanley Cup Finals, the U.S. Open Golf Championship, and next year we'll be here for the Super Bowl and the Final Four. Usually this time of year, the good folks here in the upper Midwest would have the harvest behind them, and they'd be marveling at the fall colors, even as they dust off those trunks full of winter clothing. But now, all that's going to have to wait. Because like a surprise visit from Grandma and Grandpa, Minnesotans have sudden reason to smile. Their twins are making a surprise visit to something called the World Series. And so tonight, it's official. Summer is over. It's time for Game 1 of the Fall Classic. Live from the Metrodome, it's the Atlanta Braves and the Minnesota Twins here on CBS Sports. And hi again, everybody. I'm Pat O'Brien. Welcome to Game 1 of the 88th World Series. And what we have here tonight are a pair of cabooses who have been magically transformed into locomotives. Almost nobody else thought they could, but the Braves and the Twins have chugged their way from the cellar to the series. Folks, never in this century has a team gone from worst in its division to first in its league, and yet that's exactly what both teams have done to set up what really is an improbable series. So let's imagine that way back in spring training you had the foresight and the disposable income to wager $200 that Atlanta and Minnesota would meet in the Fall Classic. Well, if you did, congratulations, because at 5,000 to 1, you are now a millionaire. The early storyline on tonight's game is Atlanta manager Bobby Cox's decision to stay with veteran Charlie Leibrandt rather than shift to 20-game winner Tom Glavine. This despite Leibrandt's career record of 0-4 in 6 postseason starts.
Well, we didn't switch. We never named a pitcher, and it's Charlie's turn. Glavine follows him, and Charlie's been one of the top pitchers in the league the second half. He down the stretch, he was one of our best guys, and he's a veteran guy. He's been in the World Series before, and he helped us get here. And
as for the Twins, Jack Morris will get the baseball. He beat Toronto in games 1 and 4 of the ALCS. What's more, folks, he is now 14-3 here in the Metrodome this year, making him the toughest pitcher in the major leagues to beat in his old ballpark. And there he is going to work a little earlier today. When we come back, the man who first coined the term Fall Classic, Tommy Lasorda, will join us as our live coverage of the 1991 World Series rolls on from the banks of the Upper Mississippi here on CBS. Stay with us.
CBS Sports coverage of Game 1 of the 1991 World Series is brought to you by Hyundai. Yes, Hyundai, makers of the Excel, Scoop, Sonata, and the brand new Elantra. And by Domino's Pizza. Call right now and you'll be enjoying a hot, delicious pizza for the game.
What you love about baseball is that it is a sport that bridges the generations. As we found out earlier today, Tom Kelly, the manager of the Twins, batting practice to Tom Jr., his 10-year-old son, and I'll tell you, he bats left and right, Tom. He looks
like a future Dodger.
Right now, it's our pleasure to welcome not only a fall guy, but a man for all seasons, the skipper of the Dodgers, Tom Lasorda. And Tom, thanks for joining us again.
Pat, it's great.
Pleasure
it's exciting right here.
Let's get right to work. Your thoughts on the pitching matchup tonight? What about sticking with Leibrandt?
Well, Leibrandt is one of the pitchers that got him here. He's pitched in the American League. He's pitched in his dome before. So I think he's going to lead the way. Letting him pitch today will give Glavine another day's rest. I think this young man has had a tough season. A day's rest will really be effective for him.
So you thought he looked a little tired in the last game, Glavine?
When he pitched against Pittsburgh, it looked that way, yes.
We talk so much about home field advantage, but in their typically unpredictable fashion, the Braves have won 3 out of 4 on the road, and the Twins swept their 3 games in Toronto. Now, will home field be a factor in this World Series, Tom?
Here it will be, Pat, because of the noise. It's really bad. The players who haven't played here before will not be used to it. In fact, Whitey Herzog, when he brought his 87 Cardinals here for the World Series, some of the players had to put earplugs in their ears so the noise wouldn't affect them.
Talking about the Braves and the Twins will be here. That'd be like saying the Astros and the Cleveland Indians will be in it next year, don't you think?
Half of that is right, Pat.
That's right. Since this is the American League Park, they'll use designated hitters. The Twins will use Chili Davis in his customary DH role. Davis blasted 29 home runs this year. For the Braves, Lonnie Smith will DH, which means that Brian Hunter will play left field for only the 2nd time this season. And when fly balls are hit his way, he'll be looking at that white Metrodome roof with those drainage holes up there. And add that to harsh lights and the noise, as Tommy talked about, and it can be a fielder's nightmare. Now, last night, the Braves got their first chance to work out under the dome, and here's how it looked to third baseman Terry Pendleton, Tommy. He's looking up in the air, looking for the ball. Is it tough to pick up the ball?
Very tough, Pat. If you take your eye off the ball, you won't be able to pick it up again. I think Hunter and Gant and Justice playing here for the first time, they are going to have some tough balls to have to catch out there.
We'll see. You know, as a kid growing up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, down the road, about a 3-hour drive from here, my friends and I all knew the lyrics to Win Twins, and we remember vividly the great 65 team with Harmon Killebrew and Zoilo Versailles. And yes, a slim southpaw who actually outpit Sandy Koufax in Game 2. Well, Jim Cott is back in the World Series in Minnesota. And let's check in with him for an introduction to a new device we'll be using to cover this World Series for you.
From the time we were kids playing baseball in the sandlot, the game has revolved around that confrontation between pitcher and batter. Supervision has provided what we at CBS Sports will call the inside pitch, a closer look where we can track the speed of the pitch the instant it leaves the pitcher's hand until it reaches home plate every 12 feet. During the National League Championship Series, John Smoltz threw a fastball that started at 93 miles an hour. By the time it reached home plate, it was 90 miles an hour. Then Smoltz threw a slider that started at 86 and ended at 83 miles an hour when it reached home plate. With the help of the CBS Inside Pitch, we hope during the course of this year's World Series to give you a little closer look at that battle between pitcher and hitter. Pat?
All right, Kenny, thank you. On a serious note, the World Series has drawn a crowd outside the Metrodome. This is a coalition organized by the Twin Cities-based American Indian Movement and includes a number of civil rights activists who have come to demonstrate against what they call a stereotypic and warlike depiction of Native Americans, especially when it comes to fans, they say, who don war paint and Indian headdress and perform the now famous tomahawk chop.
If the black athletes, these great men who we know are the best of the best, come into our town here, if they were to see cartoons of Sambo or Amos and Andy between innings being shown on the big screen, they would be outraged.
I think anytime there's a significant group of Americans who are concerned about something in baseball, we have to respond, and we will.
Owner Ted Turner declined to comment, but club president Stan Kasten had this to say
earlier. All of us in the organization, on the field and off the field, have worked all our adult lives to get here, and we're going to focus only on that for the rest of the series. And then when the series is over, we can sit down and address any issue with whatever seriousness it deserves.
But as a human being, do you understand their point, anyway?
Like all other questions on the subject, we're going to hold off any discussion until after the series is over. Right now, we're just going to concentrate on baseball for the rest of the week.
The best way to take care of the chop is 4 straight for the Minnesota Twins. So we're not above cheering our own team on, but we do it in a respectful manner.
Back to baseball, and on deck, Jack Buck and Tim McCarver will hear from our men in the catbird seats. And we continue live from the Metrodome as you see Jack Morris warming up for his big start tonight. Stay with us. Beautiful shot of the Twin Cities area, and as we approach game time, the weather in downtown Minneapolis is a nippy 48 degrees with winds gusting at up to 15 miles an hour, but who cares? Inside, it's a delightful 68 degrees with 25% humidity and no wind. Like this year's Twins, the climate in here has been calm and consistent. Well, as we prepare to send it over to our play-by-players, Jack Buck and Tim McCarver, gentlemen, I want you to know that this year we came prepared. In the first inning of the World Series opener last year, we thought we were safe when Eric Davis crashed a monster home run that ricocheted off our box, and since then, it's half glove, will travel. Jack, Tim, have a good World Series. Good evening.
He's ready. Pat O'Brien is always ready. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jack Buck with Tim McCarver. Tim, what about it?
What about what?
Slight edge Pittsburgh. You heard it. I heard you say that.
Well, I mean, I did give a slight edge to Pittsburgh in the National League Championship Series, but, I mean, how was I to know that Steve Avery, 21 years old, would work 16 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings and win 2 1-0 games? I mean, how was I to know that John Smoltz would shut out the Pirates in the last game? How was I to know that Greg Olson would get clutch hits and drive in the only run in Game 6 to send it to 7? And what about you?
What about me?
You're the one who gave a slight edge to Toronto.
Well, I thought third trip to the playoffs. Surely they're bound to win one. And how was I to know that the Minnesota bullpen would pitch 18 1/3 consecutive innings without giving up an earned run? How was I to know? And we're not the only two. We have a fella downstairs, Jim Cott. Jim, what about you?
What about me?
Well, I heard you say in February, if there's one thing you can book, it's the fact that Minnesota is going to finish last in their division. You said that, didn't you?
Yeah, but how was I to know? They went out and got Jack Morris, and he was going to win 18 games. How was I to know Chili Davis would hit 29 home runs? Carl Willis, who had been in the minor leagues for about the last 6 years, was going to do a great job in the bullpen. And Chuck Knobloch would have the kind of year that'll probably make him Rookie of the Year. How was I supposed to know that? That's how they went from last to first. And by the way, Jack Buck, at that same meeting, I think you picked the Cardinals to finish last.
I remember that.
Well, how was I to know? The only thing we do know is we're going to have a break here. We're going to meet the players, have the national anthem, the ceremonial first pitch. How are we to know? We'll return to Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome after this message and a word from your local station. We're back here at the Metrodome. The heavy noise hasn't started yet, but it will. We're about to meet the players, and let's join the public address announcer, Bob Casey.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the manager of Atlanta, number 6, Bobby Cox. Leading off, the designated hitter, number 27, Lonnie Smith. Batting second and playing at second base, number 15, Jeff Treadway.
Great series, come on.
Batting third, the third baseman, number 9, Terry Pendleton. Batting fourth in right field, number 23, David Justice.
Come on.
Batting fifth in center field, number 5, Ron Gant.
Okay, Ronnie, have a great one.
Batting sixth, the first baseman, number 12, Sid Breen. Batting seventh in left field, number 14, Brian Hunter. Batting eighth, the catcher, number 10, Greg Olson. Batting ninth at shortstop, number 2, Rafael Balliard. And in the bullpen, the starting pitcher for Atlanta, number 32, Charlie Leibert. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your 1991 American League champion, Minnesota Twins. First, the non-starters, the coaches, trainers, and equipment men. Number 10, Tom Kelly. Leading off in left field, number 32, Dan Gladden. Batting second, our second baseman, number 11, Chuck Knobloch. Batting third in center field, number 34, Curtis Puckett. Batting fourth, the designated hitter, number 44, Chili Davis. Batting fifth, the catcher, number 12, Brian Harper. Batting sixth in right field, number 24, Shane Mack. Batting seventh, the first baseman, number 14, Kent Herbeck. Batting eighth at third base, number 31, Scott Leyes. Batting ninth at shortstop, number 7, Greg Gagne. In the bullpen, warming up for our Twins, number 47, Jack Morris. Ladies and gentlemen, to honor America, we now invite you to stand and sing along as MCA recording artist Gladys Knight will lead us in our national anthem.
What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sailor, that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
That was terrific by Gladys Knight. And we're only moments away from the first pitch of the first game of the 88th World Series. Well, it brought tears to my eyes. You talking about an emotional scene. Moments ago, Steve Palermo, the American League umpire, threw out the ceremonial first pitch. He was wounded while heroically trying to stop a robbery down in Texas in the month of July. And look at the affection shown to him by the umpires who are working this game here this evening and by the players who are nearby. He walked out there under his own power with the aid of those walking canes, and he was roundly applauded by the players when he tossed out that first pitch. We're waiting for the Twins to take the field here at the Metrodome. Tim McCarvey, you talked about it. The tension was in the playoff. But there's plenty of emotion left over for this series.
Oh, yeah, indeed there is. Since the start of league championship play back in 1969, most of the players, most of the coaches, most of the managers feel that most of the tension is in the league championship series. But as you said, there's still plenty of left over, as you can see.
The designated hitter is going to be used here, as it will for all games in this American League City. You met the starting lineups. Look at it again for the Braves. Smith, Treadway, and Pendleton, Justice Gant and Green, Hunter Olson and Belliard, and Charlie Liebrandt, the pitcher for the visitors here this evening.
This game assumes all risk and dangers incidental to the game of baseball, whether occurring prior to, during, or subsequent to the actual playing of the game, including specifically, but not exclusively, the danger of being injured.
Defensively behind the starter, Jack Morris. In left field, Dan Gladden, formerly with the Giants. Kirby Puckett, what a popular player, will be the center fielder. Shane Mack in right field. Scott Leas, the third baseman. Greg Gagne will be the shortstop this evening. Chuck Knobloch, most likely the American League Rookie of the Year at second base. Kent Herbeck, a fine fielding first baseman at first. Brian Harper is behind the plate. And on the mound, Jack Morris.
The umpires working this one are Don Denkinger behind the plate, Harry Wendelstedt of the National League at first, Drew Coble, Terry Tata, Rick Reed, and Ed Montague. Let's glance around this Metrodome for those of you who have never been here or watched a game, and it's that ceiling that's going to cause a lot of concern. And Tom Kelly, the manager of the Twins, said, yeah, the Atlanta team's going to have some problems here. Here's a 23-foot high curtain out in right field. When the ball hits that, it's in play. And the fence in center field, 7 feet high. Then around in left field, they have added plexiglass to the top of the fence, making that 13 feet high. There used to be a lot of ground rule doubles here, and so they increased the height of that fence in left. Folks, dreams do come true. Jack Morris grew up in Highland Park near here, watching Jim Cott, Mudcat Grant, Bob Allison, and Harmon Killebrew play for the Twins, and he dreamed of doing the same. This year, he pitched the opener for Minnesota, started the All-Star game, started the first game of the championship series, and won 2 of them. It is a continuing dream for the Minnesota starter, Jack Morris.
Only one other pitcher has done that. Started the opener, started the All-Star game, the League Championship Series first game, and the World Series first game, and that was Dave Stewart back in 1989 for the Oakland Athletics.
Well, already here in the World Series, we have a record with Lonnie Smith leading it off.
4 World Series for Lonnie with 4 different teams, and the 3 previous ones have been winners.
Here is the first pitch of the evening. And a swing and a miss to get it started. Morris, 18-game winner during the season, 2 post-game victories, working hurriedly. Missed 1-1. Smith, Treadway, and Pendleton for Atlanta. Now Morris slows it down a little. Gets ahead on the count.
Lonnie Smith with the 1980 Philadelphia Phillies. He was with the world champion Cardinals in '82, the world champion Kansas City Royals in '85, and hoping for the same this year with Atlanta.
And he lines it to left to Gladden. He staggered from the lights. He staggered with the lights trying to get him, but he made the catch, and that's the way this one starts.
And Jack talked about the ceiling, the combination of the low lights and the white ceiling makes it very, very difficult to see a white baseball and watch Gladden. Now keep in mind, this is a team that has played 83 games here this season. And if Gladden staggers, what's Brian Harper going to do for the, or Brian Hunter for the Braves?
And now it is Jeff Treadway, the left-handed hitting second baseman. Bobby Cox hopes that he'll get 2 or 3 hits tonight. Foul ball, and the count is 1-1. That was a whistler. Don't tell me somebody caught that ball in the seats.
Well, that's what those Homer Hankies are for, to catch balls, right?
Sign him up. Sign him up. The little kid says, I wish that had happened for me. 2 balls and a strike. Treadway has a bad right hand, which probably will necessitate a minor operation at the conclusion of baseball play this year.
He started only 1 league championship series game and only 1 of the last 15 regular season games.
And a foul even today. 2-2.
He is the offensive part of the tandem that platoons more or less at second base. Mark Lemke the other. And between the two, they drove in 79, make that 77 runs this year. Second for that position. There's Mark Lemke in the top row next to the last.
Treadway hits it foul. This Atlanta batter, well known to the folks down in Georgia. Treadway lives in Griffin, Georgia. They'll be after him for tickets, won't they? There's the skipper of the Atlanta Ball Club, Bobby Cox. He was named Manager of the Year already in 1 circle. And there's Tom Kelly. Second pennant for him as the manager of Minnesota. Put out by way of first base after the strikeout.
One of the pioneers of the split finger fastball was Jack Morris. If you remember back with the world champion Detroit Tigers back in 1984, Roger Craig was the manager, and you can see the fingers split and the ball going down, and Treadway the first strikeout victim of the night for Morris.
Harper had to throw him out. Here's Pendleton. Hits one to Gagne. High but out. Down and ought to go the Braves. Up come the Twins. You'll hear some noise now. No score after 1/2 inning. Nothing doing for Atlanta in the first. And pitching for the Braves is Charlie Leibrandt. We'll review the lineup again for you. Gladden in left, now Block at second, Puckett in center, Davis the DH, Ryan Harper catching, Shane Mack in right, Kent Herbeck at first base, Scott Leyes the third baseman, Greg Gagne the shortstop, and you just saw Jack Morris do his stuff in the first. Leibrandt, 35 years old, a 15-game winner during the regular season. 1-4 in postseason and 0-4 as a starter in postseason play.
Defensively for the Atlanta Braves, we mentioned they could have problems. Brian Hunter, only his second start of the year in left field. Ron Gant will be the center fielder. Over in right field will be David Justice. There's David. Terry Pendleton at third base. Rafael Belliard, a fine shortstop. Jeff Treadway, known for his offense more than his defense. Sid Green, still a fine defensive first baseman, and Greg Olson behind the plate.
And leading it off for the Twins, Dan Gladden. Gladden had 6 hits against Toronto in postseason. Many years ago, he tried to force his way into the lineup with San Francisco. He's enjoyed many fine years here with Minnesota.
Contrary to the menacing Jack Morris, Leibrandt looking rather professorial out there. What do you think, Jack?
And he pitches in a rather cute fashion, and he gets a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Very deliberate motion for Charlie Leibrandt. He was in Cincinnati in the National League. Then he went over to the American League with Kansas City. And back in the National League, and there's his slot right there. That is the slot in which Charlie Leibrandt will try to get right-handed batters out. The ball low and away, and that's his circle changeup. And there it is right there. You can see how he's holding it. Forefinger and the thumb are together. He throws it with the last 3 fingers.
Popped up foul, and there's not much room to chase the foul balls here. And the count stays 1-2. Well, we've already had a good picture of the circle change of Leibrandt and the fork ball of Jack Morris. He's wax in the ear or cotton in the ears because These spectators torture each other with the racket they make.
It's where the noise goes.
Gladden pops it up, and the first baseman, Sid Bream, wants that foul ball. So no base runners thus far.
Let's take a look why it is so difficult to see a baseball against a white background. No problem there for Sid Bream. But there could be before this series is over, especially the first 2 games that will be played here. And then next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights will be games 3, 4, and 5 if necessary in Atlanta.
Chuck Knobloch had a terrific season for a rookie, batted .281, continued his good hitting in the postseason. Looks at a strike. When he was introduced out of the dugout, he had a little salute for his friends down at Texas A&M, written on the batting glove. He is not a power hitter. Hit only 1 home run this year.
Knobloch attended Texas A&M his first year, 1986. He found out they had a shortstop, so he was a center fielder at Texas A&M. Now here he is as a second baseman in the big leagues, and what a year he had. He led all American League rookies in hits, doubles, RBIs, and walks, and will probably be the American League Rookie of the Year.
If he doesn't win it, Juan Guzman of the Toronto Blue Jays will get it, but most everybody we've chatted with thinks that Knobloch is home free in that department. He's got a lock on Rookie of the Year. Base hit, first of the night.
Knobloch's father played minor league ball, and he said that if he had the confidence that his son had, he would have made the majors. Well, let me tell you, it takes a lot of confidence to hit a pitch like that. The circle changed low and away off the plate, and Knobloch with the first hit of the ball game.
And of course, if you're playing the Twins, you always like to have the bases empty when this fella comes up. Kirby Puckett, batted .319 this year. On the corner. That's the thing about Lee Brandt. He needs to throw that pitch, and he'll throw it at any time. That off-speed delivery. Puckett, the MVP in the American League Championship Series. Had 9 hits against Toronto. That kid's got a glove. He wants a foul ball. In the dirt, the runner halfway goes back. And it's 0-2.
There is no more notorious bad ball hitter in either league than Kirby Puckett. Watch where this pitch is. This is almost under the plate. Fine play by Greg Olson. Looked like it hit the corner of the plate. Hit the left shin guard, and Olson kept Knobloch from advancing to second.
1 on, 1 out in the scoreless first.
Probably saying from the Minnesota bench, he's got a better one. Charlie Leibrandt led the National League in pickoffs with 12 this year. However, 35 stolen bases against Charlie, and that led the majors.
So once they get him figured out, they take advantage of it.
Right, high kick.
Out of play, off the bat of Puckett, and it stays 0-2.
Here's that very deliberate move when Charlie Leibrandt gets his leg to the apex right there. He determines whether to go home or to first. If he goes to first, there's a chance of a pickoff. But because of that high leg kick, that gives the runner at first base a lot of time to steal the base.
There goes the runner. A strikeout, and the runner down to second base with 2 out.
Now, we talked about the high leg kick, not even a play on Knobloch at second base. Knobloch with 25 stolen bases. There's that leg kick again. Knobloch guessed right and has second base stolen as Puckett swings through another changeup.
So the runner at second, 2 out. And Chili Davis, the designated hitter, is up. He had a terrific year with 29 home runs for the Twins. He made himself welcome in a hurry over here.
He was 5-alarm Chili Davis this year.
5-alarm Chili. Could put the Twins on top in the first. Back to the pitcher. 1 left for the Twins, and we have a scoreless first inning in the first game.
No score. We go to the top of the second inning. You know, one thing the Atlanta hitters are going to see from Jack Morris that they may not have seen a lot of in the National League since Mike Scott has been injured the last couple of years is the hard fork ball, especially coming out of Pittsburgh. With a lot of the off-speed pitching, the left-handers. Look at the fork ball right here in Jack Morris's hand. And this is not thrown as a changeup. This is a power fork ball that'll be thrown in the mid to upper 80s. And I think that's a little different look for the Atlanta hitters tonight.
That could almost be V for victory. 18 times that fork ball was good to him this year.
18 and 12, and now David Justice takes ball 1 from Morris. Justice hit .275. Hit 21 home runs. And then just a so-so series against the Pirates with 5 hits, one of them a home run. Good young ball player. He'll be ensconced in Atlanta for many years. Ball 2. There for a while last season, they had Justice playing first, but he didn't do his best work until they moved him to the outfield. They can blow it by you, 2-1. This Minnesota pitcher is 5-1 in postseason play. So he's used to the pressure that goes with it. High in the air to left center for Gladden. Still Garrett carrying in front of the fence. He's got it. That's typical of Justice to the opposite field.
Bobby Cox telling us before the game that David trying to pull the ball a little bit too much in the National League Championship Series. You see that front foot? When that front foot points toward first base, he's pulling the shoulder out also, but he still hits this fastball well to left center field, and Gladden at the track makes the catch.
So 4 in a row set down. Time asked for by the batter. This is Ron Gant. You talk about a pull hitter. And they'll keep the ball away from him as much as they can. 4 in a row by Morris.
Lightning fast inside. And that's why, as Jack said, the breaking ball away. If Morris comes inside the Gant, it will probably be off the plate.
And that's strike 2. Gant stole 7 bases in the competition against the Pirates. So here's a combination of power and speed. Looks like he's having a little trouble breathing. Still 0-2. Tim, you mentioned you thought that against the Pirates he was swinging kind of flat-footed.
Yeah, his triggering mechanism is starting too late. He's got his hands, he's carrying his hands up too far, I believe, and that makes him come back too far. And that was a hanger right there, and you can hit the off-speed stuff, the mistakes by the pitcher, but you can't hit the good high, hard fastballs that Morris features, among other things. You'll see Gant just picking that left foot up and putting it down. It's a very odd approach to swinging.
Another foul. Jack Morris had a very, very bad cold, a lot of congestion in the chest. And his manager, Tom Kelly, said he was very ecumenical about it. He spread it around to everybody. He said half the club is sick.
Same is true with the Atlanta Braves. Could say both teams are under the weather, but we're inside, right? So that doesn't apply.
I'm glad we're inside. Change up, hit into left field, and that one's foul.
Yeah, there's a lot of criticism of dome stadiums. Another mistake, by the way, by Jack Morris. And Gant pulls it foul. Not a lot of criticism of dome stadiums now, though. It was 23 for the low yesterday in Minneapolis.
And another foul. Gant has swung at everything that Jack Morris has thrown up there. Gilbert H. Humphrey Metrodome here in Minneapolis. Part of the Twin Cities. No scorer in the second inning. To the second baseman. Oh! This is a very bouncy turf, and Knobloch got fooled by that one. He thought he was going to get it. A hit for Gant.
When Ron Gant first came up, Jack alluded to the fact that Gant was a pull hitter. And this ball squirts away from Chuck Knobloch. Watch it bounce and bounce away from Knobloch. Ron Gant, during the season, had 9 base hits to right field while having 100 base hits to left field.
So that's an unusual placement for him, and he is a threat to run, and they do intend to run against Jack Morris. Now the batter is Sid Bream. 1 on, 1 out, and 1 hit for each team. Base hit for Gant. On at first, 1 out. Official scorers here tonight are Tom Mee, who is the regular season scorer for the Twins, Red Foley from New York, and Dave Nightingale of the Sporting News. I know some scorers who would have given Knobloch an error on that ball.
Now that ball had so much spin on it, and when it hit the turf, to me it was clearly a hit.
Gotta watch Gant. And Morris is doing just that. There's Jim Williams coaching at third. Slow down, Jim. We can't figure him out. Pat Corrales coaching at first. Sid Bream hits one that's playable for Gladden in left. 2 out. They're packed in here. Tickets are at a premium here in the Minneapolis area. And we're at the Metrodome with, well, we don't know what the figure will be, somewhere between 50 and 55,000. Stepping in is Brian Hunter, one of the heroes of the Atlanta victory over the Pirates. drove in 4 runs in the postseason. And flops back in, and he's more likely than ever to be running now with 2 out and the left-handed batter having been retired. And Brian Harper, the catcher, is looking for some indication and looking perhaps for a pitch-out. And for a strike.
Asked Tom Kelly before the game, who calls the pitch-outs? He said, I do. I said, who calls for the throws to first base? He said, I do. And that's why Harper was looking in the dugout to Tom Kelly.
And looking again. Not too big a lead for Gant, but he's going. And the ball hit back to the pitcher. And the Braves have not scored in 2 innings. They get a hit, they leave 1 after an inning and a half. No score, wave those Yankees. After an inning and a half here on the home turf of the Minnesota Twins, no score. A hit in the first for Knobloch, left on, and Brian Harper, the catcher, will lead it off. Mack and Herbeck will follow against Charlie Leibrandt. And he gets ahead on the count.
The theme of the Minnesota Twins is work hard and play hard. And I don't know of any other guy that it applies to any more than Brian Harper. Released by 3 teams in the late 80s.
Out of play, and that's strike 2. He finally got a chance to play, get in the lineup with these Twins, and as he responded.
Released by the Cardinals in 86, released by the Tigers in 87, and 2 months later, released by the Athletics. Tom Kelly and the Twins gave him a chance, and has he ever responded?
He's the #1 catcher. Junior Ortiz is the backup. Just missed 1 and 2. We love Harper. He's a great guy, too. He's almost a hero in the 85 series. Put the Cardinals ahead of Kansas City in the 8th inning. Kansas City came back and won it. Out of play.
And who was the pitcher that day? It was Game 6. The pitcher, Charlie Leibrandt. Terry Pendleton, now Leibrandt's teammate, led that inning off. There was no score. The Cardinals were up 3-2 at the time. If they win the World Series. And Brian Harper with a pinch hit single driving in Pendleton. And then Kansas City scoring 2 on a Dane Orge pinch hit in the bottom of the 9th. And Kansas City won 2-1 and then won the series the next night.
That's a hit into the right field corner. He'll get 2.
When you take the right approach to hitting, good things happen. With 2 strikes, good hitters protect the outside part of the plate. And look at Harper right there. Shoot 1 to right field. Fine hitting by Brian Harper.
Justice got it back in, and we'll see if the Twins take advantage of the leadoff double. Here is Shane Mack, another former National League player. Big swing. Mack used to be with San Diego. He's in the same boat as Harper. He finally got a chance to play. Look what he did. Mack drove in 1 run against Toronto in postseason. Bobby Cox on the far right, and Leo Mazzoni just celebrated a birthday. The pitching coach seated next to him, and Jim Beecham, another of the Atlanta coaches.
All in their first World Series.
That's great, isn't it?
Sure is.
This is a double play, folks. Let's go down to Pat O'Brien. Pat?
All right, Jack, thank you very much. It was Steve Palermo, the veteran umpire who was paralyzed by an assailant's bullet this summer. Before the game, I hope you saw the moving scene where Steve went on throughout the first pitch, and all the umpires that were hugging. What was said in that mound?
They're just wishing me well, and it's a very small fraternity of umpires that we have, but it's a very close-knit group, and this is the 90s, and I guess we can say it. They just all wished me well, and they all told me that they love me.
How'd it feel to be back on the field?
Very comfortable.
Next year, I guarantee you, we're going to see a walk-in here, okay?
I hope so, pal. I hope I'm running around here.
Steve Palermo, an inspiration to all of us. Back to you guys.
That was some moment. 2 men out in the inning and a half swing and a ground ball for Treadway. I hit a double play, nobody left. We played 2, no score. Two hits for the Twins. A double play followed one of them, and only one hit for Atlanta as we go into the third. 55,108 the paid attendance here this evening. Up the middle and a hit for Greg Olson in his hometown.
Greg from Edina, Minnesota. He lives 20 minutes from the ballpark. He drove to work today on the road, he said. Yesterday, when he got in town, he went pheasant hunting at about 6:30 in the morning. He wanted to give his dog some work. And here he comes the next night. He singles up the middle on the first pitch.
He jumped right on Jack Morris, and that's the second hit for the Braves. And the number 9 hitter is Belliard. They will not use the designated hitter when we get to Atlanta on Tuesday. And ball 1. You think he is bunting, Tim?
I think so. He squared then, so one would have to suspect the bunt. Bobby Cox, after seeing that National League Championship Series, I mean, he saw 3 1-0 ball games. That's never been done before in postseason play. He's probably thinking 1 run's a crooked number rally.
And a good bunt by Belliard, tagged by Jack Morris. Sacrifice is good.
Belliard is not a strong hitter, even though he hit 249 on the season. Not a lot of power. Morris decides to take it himself, and Olson moves to second base on the play.
Most pitchers prefer to keep both hands on the glove and ball, but Jack Morris didn't, held onto it nonetheless, and we're around to the top of the order. Out of play by Lonnie Smith, who lined out to left his first time. Smith had 6 hits against the Pirates. Added 275 during the season with 7 home runs. He's right on top of the plate.
This is his 21st World Series game.
To deep short, cut off by Leas. Good play. For the second out as Olson moves to third.
Third baseman on the artificial surface can play deeper if they have a good arm. A fine play by Leas. Olson moving to third base. Ball gets to you a lot quicker if you on the artificial surface. You could see Olson moving to third there.
Treadway fouls one. They have Jeff Treadway in the lineup for hitting purposes. Lemke is a better defensive player. And Treadway will try to put the Braves on top here in the third. It takes a 2-out hit. One and one. Treadway fanned his first time. Olson at third, 2 gone. Half swing, foul ball, says Harry Wendelstedt. Just missed going over the base. Wonder how many Twins games this gentleman has seen. This pitcher has been a free agent a couple of times. Used to play with Cincinnati. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Two and two.
Talk about a guy who gets ready. We talked about the fine play that Leas made. The way he prepares for a ground ball reminds you a lot of Clete Boyer. Clete Boyer, that's how he used to prepare to get ready.
Stays 2 and 2.
Anticipation is a big part of playing the infield. You anticipate every ball, every pitch that's thrown to be hit to you. Don't want to be caught by surprise.
All the infielders are deep. Fedway is ordinary in the running department. Got him again. And he had to be thrown out at first again. We'll return to Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome after this message and a word from your local station. The Twins come to bat in the bottom of the third. No score. 2 hits each clock. And the number 8 hitter, Scott Leas, will lead it off. A .286 batter during the year. Platoons at third base with Mike Pagliarulo. Leas takes a strike as he looks for his first hit in preseason. 0 for 4 against Toronto. Keeping score and going to keep that scorecard as a memento, you can be sure. 1-1. On the corner, inside to Leas, 1-2. Lebrand doesn't do that very often, but he's effective when he comes in there, Tim.
When he comes inside, it's usually for a ball. Everything is centered off of that split finger or the circle change on the outside corner. And that was it right there.
Foul past third base by Scott Leas.
Speaking of football, the World Series in this facility here in October, and next January, the Super Bowl. It'll be the first time that the Super Bowl and World Series will be played in the same season in the same facility.
Well, Mr. Lebrand has run it to 3-2 on Leas. That is foul.
We saw Greg Olson with a single up the middle. He'll certainly have memories of that, and Scott Leas almost in his first at bat with a favorable memory. You never forget these at bats. Never.
How many World Series were you in?
Then 3, and then 3 league championship series. You never forget them. You know them pitch by pitch.
To the first baseman, Sid Bream, unassisted. We asked Vince Scully his fondest memory of a particular World Series.
The 1955 World Series. The Dodgers had never beaten the Yankees. They had played them many times in the series, and suddenly in 55 in Yankee Stadium, you had Amoros making the catch in the left field corner, and then you had Johnny Podres winning 2-0. And the borough of Brooklyn, for as the fates would have it, the first and only time won the World's Championship, and that is about as sweet as it gets.
Strike to Greg Gagne. Ben Scully is working for CBS Radio tonight. Johnny Bench, the Hall of Famer, to his left. And John Rooney, a part of that broadcasting team. Gagne is up. There was some talk during the year that this fellow is very much underrated and unappreciated. He's a heck of a player.
Went through one streak this year with 76 consecutive errorless games. They'll surprise you, too, in the home run department. As a matter of fact, 3 postseason home runs for Greg Gagne. He had a terrific World Series against the Cardinals in '87. 8 home runs this year, but surprising power for a shortstop.
He's batting with 1 out. Lee Brandt has retired 3 in a row with the help of a double play. That's out of play, and it stays 1-2. And the third, no score. There's a neat memory by Jim Scully.
Oh, wasn't that something? 1955 Brooklyn Dodgers, the only time they won a World Series in Brooklyn. Of course, they've won several since moving to Los Angeles in 1958.
A late swing, and Lee Brandt gets his second strikeout.
A lot of hitters get to looking for that changeup, and then you can blow the fastball by them. And Gagne late on the high fastball.
As slow as the fastball is.
Yeah, but when you're looking for that changeup, that fastball picks up in speed because of what you're looking for.
Top of the order. Gladden in a change to start him. Ball 1. He fouled out his first time up in this one. Ball 2. This fellow is a scrappy player, and Lee Brandt here has justified his selection by Bobby Cox to start this first game. Ball 3. There have been no walks in this game, but there is one now. Lee Brandt with a 2-out walk will take on Knobloch now. He singled his first time. Gladden swiped 15 bases during the season. Wayne Terwilliger, the coach down there.
Gladden off with 1 foot on the rug then. Good base runners try to get 2 feet on the artificial surface. Gladden, an excellent base runner. And you feel like he's going to be running sometime in this at-bat by Knobloch. It's just a matter of which pitch.
Knobloch doesn't hit the long ball ordinarily. And the Braves pitch out. And the crowd says, "Fooled you." Bobby Cox and Ron Gardenhire. Bream and Gladden. Another change coming.
We mentioned Lee Brandt with 12 pickoffs this year, and almost every time he throws to first, he will look home. You don't look at the runner when you're throwing to first. You look home, and that's another form of deception. So then, looking home, throwing to first. Does that mean that when he's coming home, he's looking to first? Not necessarily. There he is looking at home and throwing to first. Gladden back easily.
Runner going. Too late.
Tom Kelly, the manager of the Twins, has a stopwatch that he times every pitcher's delivery to home plate and a catcher's throw to second. If his watch says that it's more than 3.2 seconds for a pitcher to get the ball home and for a catcher to get the ball to second, he'll send the runner. Kelly, on every play, on every pitch home, has a stopwatch that he uses in the dugout.
Lee Brandt ahead on the count. Knobloch gets a hit. They've got to play at the plate. 1-0 Minnesota. And Knobloch is tagged out. He gets his second hit. He drives in the first run. And then he is cut down, but after 3. The Twins have broken on top. 1-0.
It looked like the fastball was inside from Lee Brandt. Knobloch going the other way. And Treadway trying to knock the ball down to prevent Gladden from scoring. Justice's throw is low. It's cut off by Bream. And Bream in the rundown gets Knobloch. And here's Chuck in the rundown, cut off by Sid Bream. Sid said, with the nature of that throw, there's probably no play anyway. He throws it to Belliard, and Belliard on the tag.
Pendleton is up. First pitch of ball, now it's 1-1. They put out on the hitter Knobloch went 9-3-6. A walk, a stolen base, and a 2-out single. 1-0 Twins. Pendleton grounded to short his first time. For a fellow who led the National League in hitting. Pendleton hasn't hit his stride as yet in postseason. And Morris knocks it down. Good play. Shades of the All-Star game where he's almost struck by the batted ball.
Happened in the first inning up at Sky Dome in Toronto. He picks this ball up with the palm of his hand, and then it kind of trickles down to his fingers so he can make the play. See him grip it like a palm ball, and he throws Pendleton out. Nice play by Jack Morris.
Pendleton 0 for 2, 4 in a row for Morris. And David Justice comes up looking for his first hit. He sent Gladden to the wall his first time.
In the National League Championship Series, the numbers for the big guys: Terry Pendleton 5 for 30, David Justice 5 for 25, only 3 RBIs. Ron Ganton had a home run in that series. He was 7 for 27, but he had 7 stolen bases. Atlanta Braves somehow finding a way to win.
Mostly with pitching. By the way, the Minnesota run scored stops a streak of 24 consecutive scoreless innings pitched by the Braves. 2-1 now. speed and in there.
Mentioned Jack Morris, Jack, earlier, 5-1. The only game he lost in postseason play back in 1987 to the Twins. And the splitter right there stays up in the strike zone, but clearly a strike.
Now 3-2. Justice said something that caught the attention of the plate umpire on that last strike that was called. And a walk, and it's the first by Jack Morris.
The center fielder running pitch.
Let's join Jim Cott down below.
Well, interesting to watch the pitching patterns of both Morris and Liebrandt, and so far Morris with the fastball in the upper 90s and sinking it away, and Charlie Liebrandt, Timmy, as you mentioned, all of his changeups out of the strike zone. He's getting the Twins hitters to chase that ball out of the strike zone most of the time.
And the only, the second base hit, I should say, by Knobloch, the fastball in off the plate, and he just pushed it to right for the only run of the ball game, scoring Gladden.
Gant swings and hits it deep. At the track and at the wall. Puckett wants it and gets it.
Ron Gant just misses it. Out on the end a little bit. He thought he had enough of it. But this being their first game, they don't know how well the ball carries. And Kirby Puckett tracks it down. So two near misses by the Braves. One on a ball hit by Justice in the second, and now on a ball hit by Gant.
And saying, how far do I have to hit one? In Atlanta, that probably would have flown out of here.
Yep. Launching pad down in Atlanta.
The green fly to left his first time. The attack so far for the Braves, 2 singles and a walk.
Chuck Knobloch, the second baseman, playing shallow right. You have 2 right fielders out there. That's the one thing, the one luxury you can afford on the artificial surface.
Bream hits it in the left. Gladden chasing it. And a fair ball, and the inning is over. Atlanta is stranded 2. Twins scored a run in the third, they bat in the fourth. Kirby Puckett leading it off against Charlie Liebrandt. Puckett fanned his first time on a bad ball in the dirt. Out of place, strike 1.
.406 batter against left-handed pitching this year. .406.
It's not bad, is it?
Not bad.
1-1.
Talked about the big three of Atlanta. What did the big three of Minnesota do during the ALCS? Kirby Puckett, the most valuable player. Chili Davis, 5 for 17. And Kent Hrbek did not have a good series offensively.
1-2. Puckett swinging at a lot of non-strikes. We shall see. Puckett will park it. Out of play. And a souvenir for one of the 55,000 off many hands. Very comfortable inside here at the Metrodome. Two and two.
You notice that fastball missing away. Lee Brandt will rarely give a hitter a fastball in the strike zone.
Puckett laid off that one, 3-2. Puckett, Davis, and Harper in the Twins' fourth. Another change despite the 3-2 count.
Joe Torre, the manager of the Cardinals, talking about Lee Brandt. And Puckett indeed does have power. Talking about Lee Brandt, saying that he would rather bite the head off a rattlesnake than have you hit a pitch in the strike zone.
And another foul ball.
Another cue shot. Like being smothered in a feathered bed, you know, facing Lee Brandt.
He's allowed 3 hits, walked a man, and that man scored. Got him again. Second time that Puckett has fanned tonight. 3 of them for Lee Brandt.
One thing, Kirby is not up there to walk. He walked 31 times in 661 at bats. Another changeup out of the strike zone, but Lee Brandt realizes that Kirby is a real free swinger. And Puckett going for ball 4. He turned ball 4 into strike 3.
Davis hit one back to the pitcher his first time. That's in for a strike. Out of play. And strike 2 on the young man from Jamaica, Chili Davis.
One of 3 free agents signed by the Twins during the offseason. Jack Morris, the other, or one of the others, Mike Pagliarulo, who will probably have to wait until Wednesday to start when John Smoltz, the right-hander, starts for Atlanta at Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta.
1-2. Tom Kelly said the way that the bases on which they selected the free agents had to do with the work ethic of the people involved.
Telling us that before the game. And I can't think of 2 better teams in baseball where they have maximized their free agent purchases better than the Twins and the Braves.
2-2.
Talking about work ethic, there's a hard worker, and you know that's the motto of the Twins: work hard, play hard, and that guy does it.
Mike Pagliarulo. With 1 out in the 4th, Chili Davis waits. 3-2.
And you look at the free agents signed by the Atlanta Braves. John Sherholtz coming over. Bobby Cox saying, what we need to do is catch the ball. And can 3 of the 4 guys in the infield catch the ball? Terry Pendleton at third, Rafael Belliard at short, and Sid Bream at first base. Fine defensive players.
Davis hits it to Pendleton for the second out. Lee Brandt's had the atom ball going for him this evening.
The catcher, Brian Harper.
Right. Adam.
In the second inning, a line drive resulted in a double play. Pendleton was hurt in the '87 series, and he played the DH role. Had a pulled groin. It was 3 out of 7. The Twins wasted a leadoff double by this batter, Brian Harper, in the second. Doesn't walk very often, doesn't strike out very often.
14 walks on the year, 22 strikeouts. And he was hit by a pitch 9 times. He put the ball in play 91% of his at-bats. It's a bunch.
Unusual figures. 2 balls and a strike. There are 2 out, but Shane Mack waits on deck. Home half of the 4th, 1-0 Twins. Harper looking him over very well. 3-1. Almost seems when you go against Liebrandt, you don't swing the bat. He'll put himself in the hole.
He likes to get you out of the strike zone.
And another hit for Harper, his second of the night.
That's an interesting point that you just brought up, Jack, because if you are patient early in the count with Liebrandt, you're apt to get a fastball that you can look for, and here's the situation, 3-1 the count, a fastball on the outside corner, and Harper again showing how good he is at hitting the ball the other way. His double was down the line, his single is to right field.
What a vastly improved player he is since we saw him in the National League. Harper runs the bases, he is rather slow of foot, and the batter is Shane Mack. With 2 out, strike 1. Mack lined into a double play by way of short his first time.
Shane from Los Angeles, and he grew up on the same street as Chili Davis. He grew up a block apart, and here they are playing in the World Series together.
You don't have to worry about Harper very much, but Liebrandt throws over. Harper's probably saying, why is he throwing over here?
What a compliment.
Yes.
He's one stolen base all year.
You see Mack waiting on that ball, trying to take it the other way, and it's 0-2. One and 2. Seen a lot of good pitching in postseason.
The Braves have just been remarkable. Their starting pitchers have been as superb as the Twins' bullpen has been.
Into right field for Justice. Looks like he's going to handle it, and 4 innings have been played. 1 left for the Twins. Second man they've stranded, but they lead 1-0.
Well, the Twins up 1-0, but Charlie Liebrandt, I mean, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's supervision. This is some high-tech baseball, and he is pitching exactly the way Twins hitters thought he would. The fastball starts out no higher than 83, usually out of the strike zone, ends up at 80 when it gets to home plate. Now watch the slider. He'll run it in on right-hand hitters. It'll start at 79, finishes at about 74. Timmy, here's the pitch you're talking about. Seldom in the strike zone. The changeup comes out at 73 miles an hour, ends up at 68. It's the pitch Kirby Puckett's been chasing in the dirt.
And a few other right-handers, too. There is Charlie. Done a fine job, but so far he's been bested by Jack Morris.
And we're into the 5th inning. Another look at the Atlanta left-hander. Hunter leads it off here in the 5th. Count 1-1 to Bryan, who hit the ball back to Jack Morris. Hit it hard. his first time up. Had a half dozen hits against Pittsburgh. A dozen home runs during the year. And he hit that one for Gladden to handle. 1 out.
Charlie Leibrandt, by the way, one of 3 left-handers for the Atlanta Braves that won 15 ball games this year. The only 3 other teams in this century that have had 3 left-handers with 15 or more wins: the 1917 Giants, and then the 74 Baltimore Orioles, and then the 1980 Yankees.
Greg Olson, he's been feeling his oats here in postseason play. Had a hit his first time.
Actually, the California Angels also did it this year. So only 5 teams with 3 left-handers, 15 or more victories.
This Atlanta pitching staff, as good as it is, might get some help from Pete Smith, the right-hander, next year. He's been hurt off and on the last couple of years. So they'll be heard from in the next few seasons. 3-0 as Morris falls behind.
Here's that left-handed success that Atlanta enjoyed this year. Also California, the Giants in 17, 1974 Baltimore Orioles behind Grimsley, Cuellar, and McNally. The Yankees, Rudy May, Tommy John, and Ron Guidry.
A walk to Olson, who reaches base for the second time, and that's the second walk by the Minnesota pitcher.
The shortstop, left field, Belliard.
Atlanta's left 3. They have 1 on, 1 out. What kind of pitching will we get from the Braves if this series goes 7 games?
We'll probably get 6 left-handers. John Smoltz will be the only right-handed starter for the Braves. And that was dictated by Smoltz pitching the clincher in Pittsburgh on Thursday.
Right to Belliard.
It's a lot easier to clinch early, as the Twins did. They clinched last Sunday in Toronto, but it took Atlanta until Thursday to clinch, and then they flew in all night, arriving about 5 o'clock on Friday morning. They worked out last night. If any team is fatigued, it's the Atlanta Braves.
Belliard, who sacrificed his first time, has a strike 2 count. And Minnesota had ample time to put their ship in order. Jim Williams gives the signs to Belliard. He's not going to be able to do much with an 0-2 count, and Olson, not a fast runner on at first. He's swiped 1 base this year. Belliard hitting 9th. Double play ball, maybe. Gagne, 2. Braves have been blanked and trail 1-0, bottom of the 5th.
One 0 Minnesota, bottom of the 5th. Jack Morris, a little different style than Charlie Leibrandt. Take a look at this fastball, 94 miles an hour from the time it leaves his hand till the time it reaches home plate. Then the forkball.
First of all, Herbeck leading off here. He grounded to second his first time. We'll follow up with regard to the pitches of Jack Morris, as told us by Jim Cox. Bottom of the 5th, ball 2.
What's interesting about that, Jack, is how Morris maintained the fastball speed through the hitting area, whereas Leibrandt lost speed through the hitting area.
A hit for Herbeck. And it goes deep. He's going to get 2.
Ken Herbeck, known affectionately as Herbie by all the people in Minneapolis, but they ever loved their twins. Hrbek signing a contract. When his extension was up the last time, he took less money to stay here in Minnesota. From here, and he just doubles for his first hit of the series.
It's a leadoff double here in the 5th inning. The batter, Scott Leyes. And a strike to him. He grounded to first his first time and has no hits in postseason. Lebrand has allowed 5 hits and a walk. Leyes took the bat back. Jim Cott will pick that story up again very shortly with regard to Jack Morris, and you'll be able to appreciate his pitching a bit more when he goes back to the mound in the 6th inning. And Jim Clancy is on his feet in the Atlanta bullpen. There's Jack Morris. He has shut out Atlanta on 2 hits, 2 walks in the first 5 innings. Leyes trying hard to advance the runner, fouls it off, 1-2.
With nobody out, big league hitters are trained, especially if you're an 8-hole hitter. Leyes asking home plate umpire Don Dinkinger if that ball is a strike. So if hitters are trained to hit it the other way, if you're a right-hander and you're trying to push the ball the other way, how do pitchers combat that? They pitch you inside, and in effect you have to inside out a ball over there. That's why Leyes had such a tough time hitting that ball to the right side.
And a base hit. The runner stops at third. First and third, nobody out.
After going inside, Lebrand with a changeup, and you can tell these Twins hitters well schooled on what Lebrand is throwing. Leyes diving out and hitting the changeup to left field as Hrbek stops at third with 2 outs. I beg your pardon, with nobody out.
I know what you were thinking, with 2 outs at a center.
Exactly, exactly.
Now the number 9 hitter, Gagne, fanned his first time. Lebrand persistent with an off-speed pitch. There goes the ball past the pitcher, but backed up by Treadway. Tim, this is where the DH comes into play, with a number 9 hitter up there rather than a National League pitcher.
If you're playing National League rules, and these 2 teams will be doing that, no DH will be used when the 2 teams meet in Atlanta on Tuesday, Wednesday, and if necessary, Thursday. Jack Morris would be the hitter, and if he starts next Thursday night, he will be a hitter for the first time in a long time.
Twins leading 1-0, 5th inning, first and third, nobody out. Pretty well hit. This ball is going to go.
We talked about Greg Gagne and his deceptive power. This is his 4th postseason home run and the first ever given up by Charlie Leibrandt.
New pitcher. Charlie Leibrandt, 4 innings, 4 runs, 7 hits. Struck out 3, walked 1. Jim Clancy greeted by the top of the order, Dan Gladden, strike 1. 4-0 Twins. Jim McCarver talked about it earlier, that you pay all the attention to the other sluggers and you forget about Gagne. To the second baseman, Treadway. Bobbles it, grabs it, throws it, missed it.
Take a look at the home run one more time by Gagne. Leibrandt tried to get inside with a fastball. But look what happened at first base. Right there, Greg Gagne is told to stop by Wayne Terwilliger, the first base coach, because he doesn't want to pass the runner. Believe me, I've done that before, and that's embarrassing. I did it in 1976, and that's what happens to hitters. If they pass the runner at first base, they get credit for a single and 2-run score.
And now a ball to Knobloch, who's 2 for 2. Charlie Leibrandt had never allowed a postseason home run. I don't know if that was a tear that escaped from his right eye, but that's the way it looked. The score is 4-0. Knobloch's 2 for 2. This crowd is like the Atlanta crowd. They never stop, particularly when their team is doing something.
Difference is in Atlanta, the noise has some place to go. Here it doesn't.
Comes back at you. After the home run, an error by Treadway. Now 2-0 to Knobloch. Now the Twins are in a spot, Tim, to do whatever they wish in the way of running.
Trying to blow the Braves out now. Gladden's already stolen 1 base. And I would imagine he'll be running again if the situation dictates. You can hit and run here, straight steal, a lot of things you can do, especially with a 4-run lead.
Ball 3. And Knobloch will take a pitch or 2. Clancy joined the Braves from the Houston club. Puts a strike in there. He's 3-2 on the year with 3 saves. And we'll watch Mr. Gladden over at first base. Runner not going. Ball 4. Let's go down to Jim Cott for an audio report here in Game 1 of the World Series.
Well, Jack and Tim, one individual on the Minnesota Twins team, and you're looking at him, batting coach Terry Crowley, many think might be one of their most valuable players. And tonight's game is an example of it. The Twins hitters have had an ability to adjust to the pitcher the second and third time through the batting order all season. Tonight's an example of it.
Kirby Puckett is probably happy that Leibrandt's out of the game. message from the Twins fans. 2 on and nobody out. It's already 4-0. Twins have 2 walks, 7 hits. Gant has it. The runner tags at second, goes to third. First and third, 1 out.
Charlie Leibrandt has now started 7 games, and he has yet to win any of those 7. Remember, we talked earlier that he was 1-4. He won that game in relief in 1985 in the ALCS, so he ties Ed Figueroa, 7 starts and no wins.
Pretty good ERA to end up with no wins.
Yep.
The batter is Chili Davis, switch hitter. On the corner.
Matter of fact, in 5 of those 6 starts, Charlie Leibrandt had gone into the 7th inning 5 times. But not tonight.
Ball 1 strike. Tomorrow night we're back on the air at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Game 2 between the Braves and the Twins. Tommy Glavine against Kevin Tapani. So baseball tomorrow night. NFL tomorrow afternoon on CBS. One and 2. This crowd here is something. They react on every pitch. Over at third base is Dan Gladden. On base for the 3rd time tonight, Chuck Knobloch. 2 singles and a walk. Jim Clancy in relief of Charlie Leibrandt. I'm sure this Twins outburst surprises no one. They led the American League in hitting. It stays 1 and 2. First and third, 1 out. Clancy could certainly use the strikeout or the double play. Two and 2. Be pretty loose up there, 10 World Series or not. When your club's ahead 4-0, you're playing at home.
Yeah, you're into the middle relievers.
Runner goes from first. Ball 3. Stolen base, 2nd and 3rd with 1 out.
Greg Olson has 2 responsibilities. He must look at third first. A little play on numbers there, but watch him look at third. That gets Gladden back to third, but that little delay also allows Knobloch to steal second base. So your responsibility as a catcher is different with runners at first and third. You look to third first to get him back and then throw through.
Now they're going to walk Davis. And the bases are loaded with 1 out. Here's some more from Jim Cotton.
Well, Jack and Timmy, from this level, what made that stolen base so impressive by Chuck Knobloch is the throw was there, but it was the head-first slide. Watch Knobloch slide away from the bag and then reach out and grab it with his left hand. Otherwise, Belliard would have been able to tag him out. That was a great slide.
Had Belliard stayed with that tag, he may have gotten Knobloch. It looked like Knobloch slid off the bag.
Harper already has 2 hits. Ball 1 from Clancy. Now we have Gladden at third. Knobloch at second base. Chili Davis at first. And Brian Harper up. Double in the second, single in the fourth. Ooh, what a good swing he had. 1-1.
Yeah, something we didn't talk about. I don't think it was that clear-cut to walk Chili Davis with a count 3-2. I mean, if Davis has one more strike, you throw a slider down and in and he swings and misses, then you have 2 outs. Count 3-2 on a hitter. I mean, you've already worked him to that count. I don't think it's clear-cut to walk him in that situation. That's what Bobby Cox elected to do.
In the hole is Brian Harper, 1-2.
In the 1972 series, the Dick Williams and the Oakland Athletics had to count 3-2 to Johnny Bench. They tricked Johnny. Johnny's doing the game tonight with Vinny. Catcher held out 4 fingers as though they were going to walk him and threw the next pitch right down Broadway and struck him out.
Can you do that?
They did do that.
There's Johnny Bench. Base hit loaded, 1 out. 1-2 the count. Twins already leading. There we have John Rooney, Vince Scully, and Johnny Bench. Two and two. This has been a long 5th inning for Atlanta. Double by Herbeck, single by Leyes, home run by Gagne. Long inning for Bobby Cox, then the error by Treadway. The walk to Knobloch. Puckett flied out, and they walked Davis. Into left field, and Hunter with an excellent play. A late tag by the runner, and he is out to end the inning as Olsen held the ball. So we end up with a 3-run 5th for Minnesota. And it wasn't very good base running by Dan Gladden.
Bad base running, as a matter of fact. You got to score on this ball. He didn't.
We'll return to the Metrodome after this message and a word from your local station.
The Twins leading Atlanta 4-0. It should be 5-0 with the Twins still batting. Why, you may ask yourself, didn't Dan Gladden score on this ball? The relay from Hunter to Pendleton, and Gladden an easy out at home. This is why. Gladden at third base, watch, hesitation, break forward. There's only one place for him to go, and a ball hit to the outfield, and that's back to third base. He scores easily. Poor base running by Dan Gladden.
Now the leadoff man is gone. The top of the order in the 6th. Lonnie Smith out 4-3.
As you see, Dan Gladden coming in spikes high, flaming spikes into catcher Greg Olson, and Olson holds onto the ball. One thing you don't like as a catcher, you don't like runners jumping into you. If they keep their feet on the ground, you don't consider that dirty pool, but catchers don't like that. When runners jump into them, they don't like that at all. Be interesting to hear Greg Olson after the game commenting on that type play.
Treadway is up. He is fanned twice. And Jack Morris continues to roll along. Morris has blanked Atlanta on 2 hits, 2 walks, and he enjoys a 4-0 lead. And a hit for Treadway. A 1-out single by the Atlanta second baseman.
the third baseman, Terry Pendleton.
Dan Gladden hesitating, then breaking forward on the ball to the outfield. If the ball drops in there, he walks home. But Dan appeared to know that he made a mistake and was out by about 5 feet, and you could see the spikes high when he went into Greg Olson. And here it is once again. Catchers don't like the spikes leaving the ground. They like them skidding along. Otherwise, some catchers would take your foot and turn you over on a play like that. Best at doing that was John Roseboro.
Oh, yeah.
Gabby.
He'd play it any way you wish.
And he also played for the Minnesota Twins when he left Los Angeles.
Ball 1 to Pendleton, ball 2 to Terry. He's 0 for 2. I'll tell you another older catcher who was great in that department was Andy Semenuk. Man, he was a killer at the plate.
I've heard you talk about Andy for a lot of years, and I wish I could have seen him play. Back in the early fifth place for the Whiz Kids back in 1950, as a matter of fact.
There's Olson. He was tough on the tag, wasn't he?
Really was. That's a tough tag because he didn't have a chance to get it to his bare hand. He had to make the tag with a glove hand.
Pendleton, borderline pitch and a strike, 2-1. He talks to the plate umpire. A single by Treadway, the third hit off Morris. Morris won 2 games against Toronto. Trying to get the better of the Braves here. Popped him up for the second out. Second baseman wants it. And 2 out. Let's go down to Jim Cobb.
Well, a long time between pitches. We were talking about Jack Morris's fastball. Started at 94, and as you said, Tim, the impressive thing was it stayed at 94, right into the hitting area. And then along with that fastball, his forkball is actually faster than Charlie Lebrandt's fastball. Starts at 85 miles an hour, ends up about 80. That's that pitch down and in that the Braves hitters have been missing. And then about 4 times a game, as he did to Justice and Gant, he'll flop one of those in there, a changeup. That ends up about 58 miles an hour.
Here is a base hit for David Justice. And Treadway stops at second with 2 out. 2 hits in the inning. You stay with us down there, Jim. We'll get to you. That's an interesting story, Tim, about the pitching ability of Jack Morris.
Yeah, the fastball maintains its speed through the hitting area, and there's a disparity in the speeds of the fastball and the changeup and the forkball. So he gives the hitter a lot of different looks at which to look. But the Braves now with a chance of climbing back into this one if Gant can park one.
And Jack Morris allowed 18 home runs during the season. Gant hit 32, plus 1 in the playoffs. So here's a crack at it for Atlanta, 2 on, 2 out in the 6th. Gant has singled and fly to deep center. And you don't have to question what the Atlanta outfielders' intentions are up there. 2 on, 2 out. Key spot in this game. And that ball is a base hit and past Gladden, and Atlanta gets a run. And they send Justice. Now they hold him up on a double by Gant or a single and an error. And hit that ball hard. 4-1.
Third base coach Jimmy Williams had an idea about sending David Justice, but he realized the score, and you just can't take a chance. Gladden does all he can. The ball hitting off the arm, it bounces in front of him. So all he can to keep it in front. And by the time he retrieves the ball, Justice has gone to third and Gant to second. But Jimmy Williams, the third base coach, had an idea of sending Justice, and he held him up at the last minute.
It's a single, an RBI, and an error on the left fielder, Gladden. Sid Breen fouls one with 2 out. 3 hits in this inning against Jack Morris. Breen 0 for 2, twice flying to left. He could make it a 1-run game or tie it. Each team has made one error. 1-1 to Breen.
One thing you have to keep in mind with Morris on the mound is the wild pitch. That forkball can slither away from his catcher. He has 15 wild pitches on the year. That's the most in the American League.
Second and third, 2 out. That's what you're talking about, Tim. 2-1.
It puts a lot of pressure on the catcher. Their wild pitches are up since that pitch was introduced, because its best effect is seen when it's down. And there's the forkball right there. You could see the finger split. And Harper on a nice play. This will give you a good idea right there. Nice play by Brian Harper.
Big swing by Breen, evens the count. 2-2. 2 on, 2 out. 4-1 Minnesota in the 6th. Well, we've seen this Atlanta club plenty this year. They come back and get you no matter what the score.
Just came back 2 and 3 days ago, winning Game 6 of the National League Championship Series 1-0 behind Steve Avery, and then 4-0 behind John Smoltz.
Brian Harper reminding everybody, 2 out. You're out. Pitch over the inside corner. Morris gets another strikeout, and it's 4-1 in the middle of the 6th. Fouls one off. We're underway in the bottom of the 6th inning. 4-1 Twins. Mack 0 for 2. Jim Clancy, the pitcher for Atlanta, in relief of Charlie Liebrand.
Saw that big second half for Shane Mack. Only Ken Griffey Jr. and Julio Franco hit higher in the second half in the American League.
1 to Treadway. And 1 out. Let's rejoin Jim Cott.
Well, Jack and Tim, you mentioned about Jack Morris's fastball, how the 94-mile-an-hour one held its speed. Now look at the pitch that struck out Sid Breen. It went from 95 out of his hand to 90 at the plate. Why? Because it was a two-seam fastball that Morris tried to get some movement on, back across the corner. The 94-mile-an-hour is the riding fastball. He throws through the catcher.
Pop foul by Herbeck, and Pendleton tracks it and missed it. Oh, did that hit somebody? It did. Yep, that ball apparently moved. Pendleton couldn't catch it. And not on the hit.
Terry just missing it, and I believe it is the commissioner, Fay Vincent's daughter, Ann, who was hit, and we certainly hope she's all right. My goodness.
Well, I'm glad she wasn't looking up. There is 1 out in the 6th. Herbeck's still at the plate. And the count 1-1.
The box seats are extended in postseason play to accommodate the commissioner and others of stature.
Ball 2 to Herbeck. Looks like she's all right. At least she is still in the seat there and not seeking any first aid. Three and 1. Herbeck grounded out, doubled, and started a 3-run rally. Did he hit it good enough? He certainly did. Hometown boy makes good.
It has been the Herbie Derby here for a long time.
He's had a double and a home run.
Excuse me, Jack. Herbeck crossing home plate and pointing to the stands, and I believe he was pointing to the family section right below us.
So the Twins get that run right back. Herbeck takes a bow. We have a pinch hitter. Mike Pagliarulo is going to bat for Scott Les. And ball one from Clancy. Bobby Cox and his Braves are trailing 5-1, sixth inning. And Herbeck enjoys the moment. To the shortstop, Belliard. 2 out. Pagliarulo, the pinch hitter, a hero earlier in the playoff against Toronto, is out. And here is an earlier hero, Greg Gagne, coming up.
With that home run, he hit his last at bat. He now moves past some elite company. In postseason play, there have been 6 Twins to hit 3 or more home runs. Only Greg Gagne has more than 3. Try to give you the list after this pitch.
From Clancy, ball one.
Teammate Kirby Puckett has 3. Harmon Killebrew with 3. Tony Oliva with 3. Gary Gaetti with 3. And Ken Herbeck now with 3, but Gagne with 4.
First time up, he struck out. Then he hit a home run with 2 on, nobody out.
For the time being, breaking open this ball game as Charlie Leibrandt, the starter, tried to come inside with 2 on, and here's what Gagne did.
Twins fans, a lot to cheer about. Another one for Belliard. Good play to his left. We've played 6 innings, but each team scored a run in the 5th. And the Twins lead by 4, 5-1. We've played 6, and the Twins lead it 5-1. And a look at the MVP in the National League Championship Series, Steve Avery. So don't count these Braves out no matter what happens tonight. Lavin tomorrow, and then Steve Avery, and they have John Smoltz. Their pitching will always keep them involved. Mike Pagliarulo, who pinch hit, stays in the game at third. First up is Brian Hunter. We're underway in the 7th. Jack Morris on the hill. Hunter is 0 for 2 with a good play in the field. Did well against Pittsburgh. This one is foul and out of play. So you'll learn about Barry Sanders, and then most of you folks will be able to watch him in action. 2 balls and a strike to Hunter.
Barry Sanders, a remarkable running back for Detroit, and Jack Morris for so many years, a remarkable pitcher for the Tigers.
This one to deep short. Gagne got him. Nothing to it.
The catcher, Craig Olson.
You know what's impressive about this? Watch Mike Pagliarulo. This is communicating with your infielders. Right there, Gagne says, "I've got it." So Pagliarulo holds up and lets him field the play. A lot of times third basemen tempted to stick their glove out and deflect that ball.
You're right, Jim. We saw him pull the glove back. 1 out, the batter, Greg Olson. Foul ball, strike 1.
As a matter of fact, in that zany inning, the inning in which David Justice missed third base in Game 5 of the NLCS, that inning started off by Gary Reedus hitting a ball in the hole and or having a ball hit to him by Justice, and Reedus cut in front of the second baseman, fielded the ball, threw it back to Zane Smith, and that opened that inning up. Had there been better communication to the right side of the Pirate infield, that wouldn't have happened, and that's what Kitty was talking about then.
Now the count has gone to 2-1 to Olson, and Mark Wohlers warms up in the bullpen. And it is 3-1. How can a baby sleep with all this noise? She is at peace with the world. Oh, yeah. Well, Mama plugged the ears and away she went. Three and 2. Jeff Blauser will come up there next. And he will bat for Belliard. Popped up, and there is a play for the third baseman, Pagliarulo. Fair ball, 2 out. And Olson is 1 for 2 with a walk.
Number 4, Jeff Blauser.
Blauser here in the 7th for Belliard. Well, some pitchers can't stand prosperity. Jack Morris can. He's leading 5-1 here in the 7th and breezing. Blauser pops it up behind short. Gladden wants it. Down in order in the 7th. Go the Braves, and they trail by 4. It is the bottom of the 7th here in the Metrodome. Twins on top. 5-1. We have a new pitcher, the third of the evening for Atlanta, Mark Wohlers. And the top of the order is up, Dan Gladden. He is 0 for 2 with a walk. And ball 1, and the new shortstop, Jeff Blauser, who pinch hit unsuccessfully. He has a tender elbow. He was struck by fungo bat. Do you think the batter and the catcher are talking about something here, Tim? Remember Gladden went hard into Olson? Looked like Gladden had something to say. Maybe Olson did also. Ball 2.
Possibly. I don't know. I mean, it seemed like Gladden was talking to Dinkinger. But you remember that Gladden came in hard to Greg Olson the last time up when he was at third base with 1 out and the bases loaded. Jim Clancy, the pitcher, Brian Harper, the hitter, with the bases loaded and 1 out. Brian Hunter, a fine play, but you could see the delay by Gladden, a bad base running mistake. And then coming into Olson, he held the spike high. Watch where the spike is, and he slams in not only to his glove hand, but to his left knee. And by Olson giving like that, I think he prevented an injury.
That last look we had at it showed dramatically how he went into his knee.
Yep.
Now Gladden draws a leadoff walk in the 7th, the 4th walk given to the Twins tonight. And Knobloch tries to keep a perfect evening going. He has 2 singles, an RBI, a walk, and a stolen base. Now a strike from Wohlers. This kid can throw extremely hard. But the first thing he did was walk the leadoff man. From Holyoke, Mass.
Think about how young this Atlanta pitching staff is. And not that young. That is not, this is a disclaimer. That was not an Atlanta pitcher.
I thought we were looking down the bullpen.
But he is. 21-year-old Steve Avery. Mark Wohlers, 21 also.
There goes the runner. Olson's throw. Got him. And a fine tag by Blauser at short.
Well, that was a terrific tag by Jeff Blauser. The throw into the dirt. A short hop. And watch what Blauser has to do to get the sliding Gladden. Short hop. That's a terrific play by Jeff Blauser. Gladden may have been in there, but a fine play, and the ball beat him. Close enough to call him out.
Look out. Up the middle to Blauser, but he couldn't handle it. And Breen saves it. It's probably a hit for Knobloch. If so, his 3rd hit.
Well, it was a hit in more ways than one. It hit Mark Wohlers, and I think the glaring thing on this play is the continued inability to throw by Jeff Blauser. He had one opportunity for an assist in the NLCS. Now he makes the play. He bobbles the ball after it hits off the leg of Wohlers, but look where the throw is. That's the 2nd errant throw by Jeff Blauser, and that was a tough play. I'm not saying anything other than his elbow may be hurting him.
A hit is ruled for Knobloch. He's 3 for 3 plus a walk, and Puckett takes the strike. Kirby's 0 for 3. Minnesota Twins have had men on base in each inning. Look at what a quick bat he has. He gets it started in a hurry. Strike 2 the count. 55,000 plus on hand. Knobloch stole a base earlier. He's the leading base stealer on the Twins this year. Minnesota fans having lots of fun, taunting some of the Atlanta Rudies. We're here tomorrow night, travel day Monday, Tuesday night, down in Georgia. President of the National League, Bill White, on hand. Out of play by Puckett, still 0-2. Scoreboard clock here coming up on 10 o'clock local time. Puckett waved at it and held up, and it's 1-2. We are at the Metrodome, first game of the 1991 World Series. There's our line score. Each team an error. 9 hits for the Twins, including 2 home runs. One out and no other play as Knobloch went in hard at Blauser. Some double play combinations would have pulled off 2 there, Tim, I think.
Well, we talked about it early. Their motto, work hard and play hard. You saw Glavine come into Olson hard earlier, and this is how Chuck Knobloch takes Jeff Blauser out of the play. All you have to do is make him look like you're going to take him out of the play. You as the runner, you have to be able to touch the bag. You see Knobloch reaching for the leg, Blauser jumping up, and his mission was complete.
So the runner Puckett at first with 2 out, and the batter Chili Davis. He's been given a walk this evening, 0 for 2. Wohlers can throw the ball past batters. And as soon as he refines his skills, he'll be a big part of this Atlanta pitching staff. That's strike 2.
When Bobby Cox came to the Atlanta Braves, actually came back to the Atlanta Braves from the Toronto Blue Jays, and he said his first line of business was to get pitching into the organization, and has he ever done it? He was the general manager from '86 until the middle of last year when he took over as the field manager, replacing Russ Nixon. And that's an idea of how hard Wohlers has been throwing, 96-mile-an-hour fastball.
So Chili Davis has to gear it up. 1-2. Three-run homer by Gagne. Solo home run by Herbeck. And the other RBI by Knobloch. Nothing fancy about Wohlers' pitching. He's a hummer, 2-2. Puckett on its first, 2 out. And the on-deck hitter, Brian Harper. Braves will have the top of the order up in the 8th inning. Puckett not going, and ball 3. Sid Green drops behind the runner. Puckett will be going with the delivery. And a strikeout for Wohlers, his first. 1 left for the Braves, their 5th. Excuse me, for the Twins, their 5th, and we played 7, and it's 5-1 with Minnesota on top. Jack Morris, a strong performer. He's only thrown 86 pitches. Looks like he's primed for another complete game, Tim.
He had 10 during the season with a couple of strikeouts, 11 complete games last year. There are more complete games in the American League by starting pitchers than there are in the National League. That's because of the use of the pinch hitter, but in the American League, you have many, many more complete games than over in the senior circuit.
Well, Lonnie Smith has not been on base tonight. And ball 1 to him.
Lollipop right there. That's what Kitty was talking about earlier, about 4 or 5 times a game. He throws that little slop drop, and that was what that first pitch was.
He comes back and gets one past Smith. Morris has struck out 3, and he has walked 2. Ball 2. Morris pitched the first game of the season for the Twins. Then he earned his way to the starting spot in the All-Star game. Then he won 2 games against Toronto in the championship series. And he ended up winning 18 games for Minnesota. 2-2 to Smith. 3-2.
Now that was a real slip pitch right there. Jack Morris slipping on the rubber. There is a pitch that pitchers do throw, and they call it a slip pitch, but you're not supposed to deliver it like that. It appeared that Jack lost his footing coming off the rubber. And then it was ball 3.
Well, the Braves get their leadoff man on. Third walk for Morris.
We have seen the Greg Gagne home run, and after doubling his second time up and scoring a run in front of the Gagne blast, here's what Herbeck did. So a good night for Ken Herbeck.
In the bullpen, it is Mark Guthrie, the left-hander. And he is being joined down there by a right-handed pitcher. And now ball 1 to Jeff Treadway. Even before Morris went out to start this 8th inning, Twins had their bullpen heating up. A walk and now a ball 2 count on Treadway, and Morris might be inviting the Braves back into the game.
Mike Pagliarulo out to talk to Morris to give Aguilera a chance to warm up. He has joined Mark Guthrie down in the Twin bullpen. There's Rick. The left-hander is Guthrie.
Morris back with a strike, 2-1. Treadway 1 for 3, and he has scored the only Atlanta run. We're in the 8th inning. Outside and 3-1.
Look for Treadway to take again on this 3-1 count with the Braves trailing by 4 runs.
A walk to Smith. Playing behind the runner at first, and ball 4. That's 4 walks by Jack Morris. Here is Jim Cott.
Well, Jack and Tim, the Twins bullpen in the American League Championship Series, such a valuable part and the reason they won. But 2 of the most valuable pitchers, David West and right-hander Carl Willis, they're not up right now. Guthrie's up to come in and get a left-hand hitter out. Aguilera to come in and try to lock it up.
And they are going to lift Jack Morris and bring in the left-hander to pitch to Pendleton. Things are happening here with 2 walks given to the Braves in the top of the 8th, causing Jack Morris to be lifted for Mark Guthrie, the left-hander. 2 on and nobody out. Can you believe Can you believe that we're going to have the Winter Olympics coming up in February? Right here on CBS. February 6th will be the opening ceremonies, Tim, and you'll be there.
Christy Yamaguchi, Tanya Harding. Opening ceremonies on February 6th. 121 hours of programming over a 15-day period from the 8th through the 23rd.
And then the competition commencing on February 8th. Guthrie to Pendleton. He took a strike. And the Minnesota fans saluted Jack Morris when he left after pitching 7 innings and a tip of the cap. He's from Highland Park, nearby to downtown Minneapolis. Actually from St. Paul and Highland Park. 2 on and nobody out. Braves trailing 5-1 and a hard hit ball to Knobloch. They get 1, 2. Well, that slows that down, doesn't it? Runner at third, 2 out.
Pendleton hits a rocket to the right of Chuck Knobloch. Knobloch going down with the ball, making sure of 1. That's the key. And then the strong return throw of Gagne gets Pendleton.
Terry knew he had been ahead. And Justice comes up with 2 out and a runner at third. Fly to deep left, walked, and singled.
Terry Pendleton, by the way, nursing that sore arch on his left foot, is not at full speed.
Guthrie got him, now falls behind Justice. The lone runner now is Lonnie Smith, third base, 2 out. Guthrie 7-5 during the season with a couple of saves. And the bullpen has been magnificent for the Twins in postseason.
18 1/3 innings of scoreless ball in the ALCS.
3-1.
And now Guthrie coming in and serving up the double play ball for the time being and getting the Twins out of hot water.
They haven't allowed any earned runs in more than 2 full games. Ball for the third walk of the inning. How important was that double play? 2 on, 2 out. And the Braves have a man who could cash in on this situation, but Tom Kelly comes out. And he'll probably go to Aguilera. Yep, that's the call. Well, Guthrie did a good job on Pendleton, but then he lost Justice, and the Braves are still in business.
Five to 1 Twins lead with 2 on and 2 out here in the 8th inning. Rick Aguilera, their stopper, 42 saves on the year. And to give you some idea of how the bullpen of the Minnesota Twins responded in the American League Championship Series, look at the starters and look at the averages of the Blue Jays against them. 316 against the starters, 119 against the relievers. An ERA, as Jack said earlier, of 0, no runs in 18 1/3. So that gives you an idea of how valuable this Twin bullpen is.
And let's watch this classic baseball battle between the good pitcher, Aguilera, and the good hitter, Ron Gant. First and third, 2 out, 8th inning, 5 to 1 Twins.
Aguilera, realizing the Gant power, throws a splitter on the first pitch. Aguilera, fastball, curveball, slider, and the split finger fastball has really made him into a quality reliever, one of the best around.
Now strike two.
So a splitter to the fastball.
And he has Gant backed up. Get the Yankees ready. Almost. No hits in the inning for the Braves. 3 walks. Two and two.
See what Brian Harper flashes down for Aguilera. Fastball away.
And into left field, and that's a hit and another run for Atlanta. And the tying run will come up. Gant gets his 3rd hit of the night. Drives home a run. Makes it 5-2. Lonnie Smith crossed the plate. That run charged to Jack Morris, the starter.
Gant, such a key man because now Sid Bream representing the potential tying run. Fastball really in a pretty good spot. And Ron Gant hammers it to left. 2nd RBI for Ron Gant.
The only time they got him out was on a fly ball to deep center. Now it's Bream 0 for 3, tying run at the dish. And he popped it up into center for Puckett. That takes care of the Braves in the 8th inning. The Twins' lead has been cut to 5-2.
5-2 Twins, bottom of the 8th. Interesting in the early part of this series to see how the scouting reports tell Twins pitchers what to do with Ron Gant. They think they could keep the ball down and away, but look at the plate coverage. That's twice he's gone out and done that with that pitch. I think you'll see an adjustment in the upcoming games.
Now it's a new pitcher for Atlanta. Into the bottom of the 8th, it's Mike Stanton. He is the 4th hurler of the night. Leibrandt, Clancy, Wohlers, and now the lefty Stanton. Batter is Brian Hunter. And an aggressive play by Pendleton, and he got him. Harper is 2 for 4. Pendleton knew who was running.
You don't often have this many chances if you play the left side of the infield because you do have the longer throw. Pendleton blocked it and then picked it up and double clutched and still got Harper.
Shane Mack is the batter. Stanton blitzed it past him. Mack is 0 for 3. Former San Diego player. Lives in Las Vegas, where he played with the San Diego AAA club.
Yeah, Shane's dad, as a matter of fact, an employee at the Los Angeles International Airport. And I talked to him about 2 months ago about Shane and about his how proud he is of his sons, one of whom is a great high school football player, and another who is a minor league prospect with the Montreal Expos. He would have, his dad, that is, would have preferred Shane go to college and play football. That was his first love. His father's, not Shane's.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Down he goes, and he's 0 for 4, and Stanton has taken care of the first two. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. And a lusty cheer for Kent Hrbek. Grounded to second, doubled and scored, and hit a long home run. Out of play. Two Twins. 1 in the third, 3 in the fifth, 1 in the sixth. Tough to catch up with Stanton at times.
He and Ken Merker, part of the left-handed tandem in the Atlanta bullpen. Throws awfully hard.
1-2. Atlanta didn't score until the sixth, got another in the eighth. They have left 7. Not getting much from Terry Pendleton and others. 2-2. Strike 3 call, and Stanton has a 1-2-3 inning with a couple of strikeouts. The Braves have a good hitter to lead it off. That's going to be Brian Hunter. They'll go into the ninth, trailing by 3. Into the ninth we go. 5-2 Twins. They've out-hit the Braves 9-6. And due up for Atlanta is, first of all, Brian Hunter. And Hunter is 0 for 3. Rick Aguilera on the mound, misses ball 1. Hunter to be followed by Olson and Blauser. And if anybody gets on, Lonnie Smith. 1 ball, 1 strike. This kid doesn't wait around, does he?
No. 12 home runs during the regular season and only 272 at-bats. Talk to the coaches of the Atlanta Braves. They talk about his instincts being terrific on the bases. He's a strong young man. Appears to have a bright future with the Braves or another club.
Aguilera gets ahead on the count. Aguilera gave up a base hit in the 8th. We got the final out with 2 Braves on base. American League umpire Rich Garcia up here in the booth with us in case anything untoward goes on down in the field. And to the shortstop, Gagne, for the first out in the ninth.
For Bobby Cox, his team carrying 10 pitchers. Minnesota, primarily because of Aguilera, carries only 9. Bobby Cox has Tommy Gregg, Jerry Willard, Francisco Cabrera, Keith Mitchell, and Mark Lemke. So he's got a lot of guys to go to on the bench.
He stays with Olson, who's had a single and a walk. Two Twins in the ninth. Aguilera tries to save it for Jack Morris. Tonight's telecast was produced by Rick LaCivita, directed by Joe Assetti. The pregame show produced by Mike Arnold, directed by Bob Matina. The senior producer of CBS Sports is Ed Gorin. The executive producer of CBS Sports, Ted Shaker. And 1 ball, 2 strikes to the Atlanta catcher. Stays 1-2. The Braves have left 7, trail by 3. Gagne scoops. 2 out. Let's go down to Jim Cott to talk about Gagne.
Well, probably the key pitch out of a couple of hundred thrown tonight was the pitch that Charlie Leibrandt threw. Let's look at it on our inside pitch. He tried to get it inside, but he didn't. It started at 83 miles an hour. It moved back across the middle of the plate, ended up at 76 in the zone. That's not where Leibrandt wanted it. That was probably the key pitch in this ballgame.
And the ball sailed away in the 5th inning. Now there are 2 out. The fans are on their feet. And the batter, Jeff Blauser. He pinch hit earlier. He's 0 for 1. Stayed in the game to play short. After this game, if it stays as is, we're going to try to talk with Greg Gagne and Ken Hrbek. Pat O'Brien coming up along with Tommy Lasorda. 1 ball, 1 strike. Twins hit 2 tonight. That ball into left for Gladden. And the Twins have won the first game 5-2. Braves will try to come back tomorrow night.
This is the 5th straight Minnesota Twin win here in the Metrodome. They beat the Cardinals 4 in the Dome in 1987, and the first one here tonight, and tomorrow night it will be Atlanta versus the Twins for Game 2.
And we'll be on the air at 8 o'clock with Pat O'Brien and Tom Lasorda. Those 2 are coming up. The final score here, 5-2. Jack Morris, the winner.
So they'll be celebrating in Minneapolis in the Twin Cities area tonight. The Twins have won Game 1 of the 1991 World Series 5-2. Folks, Jack Morris is now 15-3 at home. And how big is that? He picks up the win. Our Chevy MVP of tonight's game is Greg Gagne of the Twins, and Chevrolet will donate $1,000 on his behalf to the Special Olympics. Incidentally, that 3-run shot homer that Gagne hit is his 4th postseason home run. That is a new Minnesota Twins record. 3, Harmon Killebrew, Tony Oliva, and Kirby Puckett each have 3, so he was in great company. Now he surpasses them. Jim Cott is with some great company right now. Kitty?
All right, Pat, with a couple of tonight's heroes, Ken Hrbek, and the player of the game, Greg Gagne. And Greg, I think one of the things the Minnesota Twins do as well as any team is adjust from at-bat to at-bat, and it looks like that's what you did to Charlie Leibrandt tonight.
Well, he got me chasing a high fastball to strike me out, and I said, well, I got to get a good pitch to hit, and I said, I'll just be ready for his fastball, and usually take my plan to hit the fastball and then adjust to the break and stuff. But on that pitch there, I just went up there thinking about hitting it in the hole, and ended up hitting it out of the park.
I'll say you did. And Ken Hrbek, it doesn't appear that the long layoff that everyone talked about affected the Twins at all. Your timing was right there tonight.
Yeah, I felt pretty good. You know me, Jimmy, I like a day off once in a while, and it was nice to have a few days off, but it's something different for us every night. Tonight was Gags with the big 3-run homer for us, and in the playoffs, Pags came through for us, and a guy like Chuck Knobloch. So everybody else has been doing their job. It's just somebody different every day.
All right, a big night for the Minnesota Twins. These two guys were a part of it. Let's go back to Pat O'Brien.
All right, Kitty, gentlemen, thank you. Congratulations. Tommy, your views on Game 1?
Well, I think that home run by Gagne was the one that they needed real bad, and that put them out in front. And then I think the clutch pitching of Mars, he got him out when he needed to, when they had those threats going, and I think that made the difference in the ball game.
Let's look ahead to Game 2 now. And we always talk about big games in any series, and Game 2 now looms as a very, very big game for Atlanta.
Without question, Pat, they would like to go out just as they did in Pittsburgh. They broke even with them. They've got to win tomorrow night's game. Otherwise, they don't want to go back to Atlanta down 2-0. They've got their bread and butter man, Tommy Glavine, going tomorrow. This is the guy they want to depend upon. He's the Cy Young Award candidate for sure, and believe me, he's going to have to give them a good performance.
From the Twin Cities. But once again, our final score, the Minnesota Twins 5, the Atlanta Braves 2. Join us again tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time for Game 2. It'll be Tom Glavine for the Braves and Kevin Tapani for the Twins. And a reminder to start your viewing day at 12:30 Eastern Time with the NFL Today. Terry Bradshaw and John Madden will give out their midterm grades. Stay tuned for that one. Then stay tuned for doubleheader action starting with Tampa Bay against undefeated New Orleans or the Minnesota Vikings at New England. In the second games, most of you will see the surprising Lions visit the 49ers up at the Stick.
CBS Sports coverage of Game 1 of the 1991 World Series is brought to you by Chevrolet, the heartbeat of America, the cars more people depend on. McDonald's, getting more for your money. That's McDonald's today. And by Polaroid. Nothing works like Polaroid instant photography.
Watching the World Series on CBS Sports, the home of baseball's biggest games.